I never open on a first date.
That way, you great big Balverin turd!
I know a cowboy, it's okay. And I love it.
And those are the nominee for Best Reissue, a new category here on GameSpot's Game of the Year Awards. So folks, a lot of great games came out this year in reissued form with new modes, new graphics, whatever. We ended up knocking it down to 5. So for you guys, why do you think a game like, say, Grand Theft Auto 5, do you think that was enough to get it within this category of nominees?
But it was really hard just even narrowing down the nominees, because it's not just how good was the game when it came out originally, it's what did they add to it, how much was layered on. And Grand Theft Auto is just a great example of a game that is a remaster. I mean, it looks a lot better, but they added so much content that you're able to do things you weren't able to do in the original game. They added the first-person mode, doing peyote, let you be an animal and fly through the air.
I think if you talk about looks a lot better, Grand Theft Auto 5 is not the best example. I think like Metro Redux and Fable Anniversary, these are games that have like entirely new art assets, and just like with Fable, you've got a new lighting engine, like all this stuff that just revivifies these games and brings them to life in a way that, you know, is sort of keeps pace with what modern standards are, and really gives you a new way to appreciate how friggin' great they are.
But no game was done more.
Hey, give me a chance.
I was going to throw to you because you're Pokemon.
This is what it was like.
What is it about Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire?
Okay, well, I want to talk about GTA. You want to hear about that?
Okay, no, go GTA first.
Because no, I mean, you're talking about, you know, these games that like look better, right? You know, maybe Grand Theft Auto, the graphical upgrade wasn't so big of a deal, but the first-person mode totally changed the way that game has an impact on you as a player, and therefore, like, what you do in that game. I mean, things are so much more personal and brutal. For me, that had such a big impact on my interpretation of what makes that game special.
It's certainly a strong contender, but what about Pokemon?
Right, so Pokemon...
So much more personal and brutal, like Peter was saying.
Yeah, because this is coming from games that were on the Game Boy Advance. You know, it was a 32-bit system, but it was still 2D, little sprites, very much in the same vein as the older Game Boy games, just with color for the most part. This has taken that game and expanded it, or those two games, expanded them in a 3D world where, you know, it feels like a more modern game. It is sort of recreating the old one, like almost verbatim for the story, but it adds new stuff. You have these mega evolutions of Pokemon where you collect these stones and you get this sort of like one instance per battle, like mega sort of evolution, and it's you know, that part's interesting, but it's like Pokemon for a new generation, but an old game. So as a reissue, it's great because it really does revitalize it.
And it's not even just borrowing what Pokemon X and Y did. It's doing new stuff as well. Like, this is almost, in some ways, kind of a sequel to those games in terms of the new features it adds.
A little bit, yeah. It does kind of treat it that way with the intro as well, which is...
And I think it's worth noting also, you guys tell me who the nominees for this category, to guess who the nominees for this category are 2 months ago. There's no way Halo, the Master Chief Collection, is missing my nomination for this category.
Sure.
Exactly,
But,
so I wanted to ask you about this because, of course, you reviewed the game. Quite a tumultuous review process because the game was just broken.
You can't play that game multiplayer reliably. I mean, it's been getting incrementally better slowly, but like by half steps and sometimes back steps, and it's just... The campaign stuff in there is incredible. What they've done with Halo 2 Anniversary, the campaign experience, all the new Blur cutscenes are just awesome. But you got to take the game as a whole when it comes to these awards, because an award is a recommendation, is an honor for the game, and to honor Halo, the Master Chief Collection in this category would be to be basically ignoring the huge problems with all the multiplayer stuff there, which is a big reason why so many people were so into that game, myself included.
And then our fifth nominee, Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition, a game which you could argue that the expansion pack and then Ultimate Evil Edition arguably fixed that game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think one of our editors or someone in the meeting, I can't remember who, said, I can't believe Diablo 3 went from like my biggest disappointment one year to my favorite game the next year, just because of all the changes that, aggregated over the year and then culminated with the Ultimate Evil Edition. I mean, and plus playing it on console actually feels like, I've played Diablo games in the past and really enjoyed them, but just the feel of the sticks, the feel of them of this on next-gen console is incredible.
And lastly, I guess the last elephant in the room would be a lot of people probably shouting in the chat right now asking, where's The Last of Us? Why did The Last of Us not make it onto the list? This was a point of a bit of contention at our meeting for sure.
Well, like I said earlier, it's not necessarily just how good the game was originally. I mean, The Last of Us Remastered is still an amazing experience, an amazing game, just like The Last of Us, but it didn't really add that much outside of that graphical upgrade. And it's beautiful. If you didn't play it on PS3, I recommend playing on PS4, and I would play it again on PS4. I'm looking forward to trying it out again. I haven't played it this year. But it was mostly just a graphical upgrade.
But and I think there's a difference here too when you talk about graphical upgrades, because coming from last year a PS3 release versus like an Xbox release with Fable Anniversary, I mean, there's way different scopes for graphical upgrades and for the kind of work that goes into it and for the kind of change that kind of upgrade can affect on the gameplay. And I think what it came down to for The Last of Us Remastered is, yes, it looks a little better. Yes, Left Behind is included on this disc, and it's a great deal, and it's totally highly recommended. But in terms of best reissue, it just wasn't up to snuff for our category.
Exactly. Hopefully Left Behind might get a look in at some stage in the nominees as well. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Those are the nominees for best reissue. The winner of that will be announced on GameSpot.com tomorrow, December 10th.